Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, we're going to be talking about small blue aliens. I have a couple of accounts of extraterrestrial beings of the bluish kind, folks, and we'll learn all about them as we read through these stories. The first article I have, They're Here. Photographer observes craft and alien bodies at Northern Air Force Base. In this story, this photographer recalls how he was ordered into this underground base to take photos of this alien spaceship and these bodies. It's a very interesting account, so let's get into it now. The witness was employed by the Air Force as a photographer. He continued to photograph the inside of the disc and was later taken to photograph two actual alien bodies dressed in blue jumpsuits. Indeed, folks, this is where the blue comes from. These alien entities were wearing blue jumpsuits, so, well, that is an interesting little detail, folks, and we'll wonder about that after we read this particular story. But let's get back to it. Near Norton Air Force Base, California, 1973, unknown time. That's because the witness, was taken out to this area and then to this underground base, and he was blindfolded, folks. That is another intriguing detail, but let's read the full account now. The witness was employed by the Air Force as a photographer. One day, he received unexpected news that his security clearance had been upgraded. A few weeks later, he and another military photographer were flown to Norton Air Force Base for a temporary duty assignment. Upon landing, they were taken on a 2-hour drive inside an Air Force vehicle with blacked-out windows. They finally arrived at their destination, which turned out to be an underground installation. They were ordered to disrobe and given white smocks to wear. The main witness was taken to a room containing a disc-shaped craft, suspended in a heavy net and hanging from a large crane. The disc measured about 30 feet in diameter and had a small opening on the side. The witness was lifted up to the opening and put inside. And what he saw inside, folks, really took his breath away. Because apparently, the inside of this thing apparently was far bigger than basically what he saw on the outside. And we'll read that in a moment, folks. But damn. It sounds like this UFO was very much like basically, Doctor Who's TARDIS, doesn't it, folks? So, what do you make of it, folks? Because I find that amazing, folks. Is it possible that somehow a fictional reality was somehow impacted our own? I mean, if you think about it, folks, it feels like you're talking about Doctor Who here, right? How it's bigger on the inside of this spacecraft. But here, this guy clearly saw it. Now, let's read exactly what happened next as he realized what this object really was and how big it was on the inside. He was shocked to see that the interior appeared to be about 10 times the size of the exterior. Disoriented, he poked his head back outside to check the size, which seemed to be only about 35 feet in diameter. He continued to photograph the inside of the disc and was later taken to photograph two actual alien bodies dressed in blue jumpsuits. Very little description of the alien beings was provided, other than that they were of small stature, had smooth bluish skin, and large football-shaped eyes. One body had a deep lacerations and missing tissue, appearing as if it had been involved in a horrific accident. At that point, he became ill, and the other photographer was called in to complete the assignment. So, these entities were not only wearing blue jumpsuits, but also had bluish-tinted skin, folks. Now, it was the fact that these guys are blue, folks, that made me basically name this video Small Blue Aliens. Indeed, this is what they are. Now, they sound a little goblin-like as well, folks, but then again, when you look at gray aliens and this variant with the blue skins, they all look a little goblin-ish, don't they, folks? But the next account makes this a little more clearer because the little entities in it are small and blue and goblin-like as well. But we'll get to that article after we finish this one. So, let's finish this off, talk a little more about it, and then get to the next article. No further details were provided. Source, Preston E. Dennett, Uncensored UFO Report, Albert S. Rosalius. There's also a note, folks, so let's read that now. What's most interesting about this report is that it suggests possible, though anecdotal, proof of the space-time continuum theory. The account of an object's interior being larger than the outside appearance has been documented in several other alien encounter cases as well. So, indeed, folks, it makes you think that basically something fictional like Doctor Who can somehow basically impact real life. Is that perhaps what we're seeing here, folks? Maybe this entire thing is all part of some sort of Tulpa or even Tulpa experiment conducted by the government. Maybe this UFO that this guy photographed isn't a real UFO, but maybe something conjured from mental energy. The same thing with the bodies. The guy doesn't know exactly what they were, folks. He thinks that they were aliens, but that's just his own opinion. For all we know, folks, the government manufactured these things out of pure emotional and basically thought energy, and this guy was able to take photographs of them. But then again, he could have actually taken a photograph of a real UFO and alien bodies. I will say indeed, it could be real. Now, let's move on to the next article, folks. Abducted experiencer recalls small, squat, bluish beings under hypnosis. Indeed, folks, this guy, when he was 15 years old, was apparently actually abducted by small, bluish alien beings, which he didn't find out for sure until he was under hypnosis when he recalled exactly what happened back then. Either way, it's an entirely intriguing account that we're going to get into now. He recalled seeing a face looking down on him and a slimy tube being stuck down his throat. He also recalled being submerged in a tub of pink fluid and being taken out by several squat bluish beings. That was another brief excerpt from the actual story, folks, and as you can see, it seems like these aliens basically, well, as the article put it, decontaminated him or did something to him by putting him in this pink fluid. Now, it could be that indeed they were decontaminating him so he couldn't give them any diseases, which is a possibility, or maybe there is the possibility that this pink fluid is very important, because we've read through several stories in which some weird alien fluid was mentioned. Either the witness sees parts of people's bodies floating in some weird liquid, or people themselves basically being suspended in it, almost like basically they were cryo-frozen or put into some sort of suspended animation. So that is indeed an interesting thought, isn't it, folks? But let's get back to the article now. This happens in Sydney, NSW, Australia, winter 1970 at 9 p.m. A 15-year-old boy noticed an orange glow at a nearby bush close to his home. He grabbed his dog and went to investigate. The dog became disturbed and immediately ran into the brush. The boy then became confused, and at a period of apparent missing time, he remembered an owl fly past him and lost interest in the orange light and left. Years later, he went under hypnosis and recalled seeing a bright object hovering close to the ground, and the bush was swaying as if a strong wind was hitting it. He became frightened and sensed something coming towards him. He felt claws grasping at him on both arms and was then taken on board a strange craft. He struggled, but soon found himself lying on his back. He recalled seeing a face looking down on him and a slimy tube being stuck down his throat. He also recalled being submerged in a tub of pink fluid and being taken out by several squat bluish beings. Source, Keith Basterfield, IUR, Volume 17, 5. There's also a note, folks, so let's read that as well because there's a little more interesting information. The source later notes that reports of short, squat, bluish-colored beings are apparently frequent and many times connected with abduction reports. The witness reported being submerged in a pink fluid. This has also been reported before and appears to be some kind of transportation medium for humans or maybe some kind of decontamination procedures. So, is that possible, folks? Was this guy put into this fluid so that these alien beings could transport him somewhere else? At which point they examined him and then conducted some sort of scientific experiments to basically either, well, I guess, determine who he was or maybe if he was viable for whatever program that they abducted him for, perhaps? I don't know. It's a possibility. We've heard before, folks, of basically people being abducted for maybe some sort of hybridization program. Perhaps this was another one of those particular experiments, but we can't be for sure. I don't know why they want us, folks, because if they are indeed alien beings, we should not basically be able to procreate with them, because their DNA should be completely different from ours. That is, if indeed they have, well, DNA, folks, which is something various scientists have said before. But then again, if they can interbreed with us, maybe that means that these, well, beings are indeed human, or at least that they're related to us in some odd fashion, because that's the only way I can really see this actually working, folks. I've said this before, folks. Maybe these alien beings are human, at least in some fashion, because it makes sense that that is why they abduct us, for some sort of procreational purpose. Otherwise, I don't see how that could possibly be the truth of the matter, unless maybe it's all a lie. Maybe the aliens are basically making us think that because they have some other esoteric purpose in abducting people for some sort of scientific purpose. And they want us to think this because the actual other purpose, well, maybe it's something that we can't just understand at all. but maybe one day we will. Either way, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. Hit that like button for me, make sure you're still subscribed, leave some comments down below, hit that bell for notifications, hit the part of the bell that will give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, folks, bye.